This video I'm going to show how I reset the battery management system or BMS in one of my lithium batteries wired in series. Now this was before I had all my battery balancers installed, so I was dealing with one battery in this bank that would drain faster than the others and trigger the BMS when the voltage got too low. So the first thing that I have to do is remove the battery that I need to reset from the bank it is connected to. Next I will screw the posts back in, which isn't necessary, but I need them to keep the wires for the voltage display connected. Now I will connect two wires to the other battery that has a decent charge and is not connected to the battery bank now either. And after I have those wires connected, all I need to do is touch the negative wire from the charged battery to the negative post on the offline battery, and then tap the positive wire from the charged battery to the positive post until I see the display give me a voltage reading. Then I can remove the jumper wires from the charged battery and connect both batteries back up to the 48-volt battery bank wired up in series. I was curious if the battery would balance its charge out with the other batteries, so I left it disconnected from the other battery banks, but it seemed to lose a little power after about an hour. So I double-checked my connections to the bus bar and then turned the switch on to add the bank back to the cluster. And I will see the voltage immediately increase, so I'm assuming that's because electricity takes all available paths in inverse proportion to their resistance. In physics, inverse proportion means that as one value goes up, the other goes down at the same rate. When it comes to electricity, the relationship is between current and resistance. So after about an hour with no load, I will see some of the voltage on other batteries drop and the voltage on the weaker battery increase a little bit. Now ideally what you would want to do if you have a battery balancer is fully charge all the batteries in the bank back up before connecting them, but some chargers won't work if your voltage is too low. And here you can see that when I hook the charged battery to the charger, the light turns green to indicate that it's charging. But when I hook the charger up to the battery that was only showing 2.6 volts, the light stays red, which means it does not see the battery when it's connected. And for some reason when I test it with the voltmeter, it shows less than a volt, but when I remove the charger I get the 2.6 volts again, which I don't understand why that happens. So in order to get the voltage I need for the charger to start working with the weak battery, I need to wire the weak battery up to the charged battery in parallel, so I connect the red wire to both positive terminals and the black wire to both negative terminals. And now when I test both of the batteries, I'll get the same voltage since the current is equalizing between the stronger battery and the weaker battery now that they are connected in parallel. So now when I connect the charger, it will show the green light to indicate that it's charging both batteries. Next I want to show how I fix when a battery within a bank got too low and triggered the BMS to shut down every battery in the group of banks it was in. I'm fairly certain this happened because I have a bank of 100 amp hour batteries connected in parallel with three other banks of 140 amp hours. So I turned off all the switches to the battery and tore down the 100 amp hour bank and tested each battery until I found the one with the lowest voltage. And after testing the two batteries in the back of the bank, I just swapped them out one by one with the batteries in the front to make it easier to put the bank back together after recharging the low battery. The last battery I tested ended up being the one with the lowest volts, so I charged them both back up before wiring them back up to the battery bank. And I made sure to connect the problematic battery back on the bank last, so it's easier to take off if this were to happen again. I have since connected an AC to DC power source to the solar bus bar before my charge controller that I can turn on remotely to handle the load until the sun comes up to recharge the batteries. So this has not happened again yet because I've developed a good sense of when the batteries won't make it through the night. Now I just schedule the remote switch to run the power supply to keep the batteries from discharging until the sun comes up. And with the 100 amp hour battery bank wired back up, I'll turn it on while leaving the other banks off and then switch my charge controller back on as well. Now with the charge controller booted up, I'll switch the other banks on one at a time to make sure each bank is working fine again, which ends up being the case. All my 140 amp hour banks started back up without having to mess with them at all. Hopefully this video has helped, and feel free to ask any questions that you still may have in the comments. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more quick and on-point videos.